Good evening and welcome to the final round of the SSRi GT3 season here at the Mount Panorama, or Bathurst as it's formerly known. My name is Ryan Walker and alongside me calling the action tonight is Dave Hedges. Dave, how are you doing?
Not too bad, thanks Ryan. Welcome everybody, and yeah, it's going to be, I think, as usual, an interesting race. You know, it's a pretty iconic track, Mount Panorama. Everyone loves to hate it. I think, you know, it's such a challenge. Very, very long, high-speed straights, but with such a difficult technical section on top of the hill. I think whoever keeps out the wall tonight will be doing pretty well. Yeah,
absolutely. Bathurst is one of those famous tracks. As you all know, it's famous for hosting the V8 Supercars, Bathurst 1000. They're also the 12 Hours of Bathurst, and like I said at the start, it's host to the final round of the championship, and they just in the middle of qualifying at the moment with the cars out on track, and currently pole position being held by James Mead, but also one of the championship contenders in second place, Clayton Barnett. Pretty much just needs to finish this race tonight to take the championship, because as it stands, it looks like one of the other contenders, that Stem Spencer, I think, is not around and qualified, so it could be a chance for Barry to take the championship, but as you just saw there, he just lost it and got out of shape and hit the wall there. But looking at James Mead, the current poles that are coming through, and one of the drivers that's been really impressive this season and took good results in the championship. So, and also in that, basically the semi-class championship as well, it's technically wrapped up with Danny DeSwart currently leading that championship, and one of the other contenders, Andreas Gill, not being around tonight due to real life commitments, and also away on the vacation for the Christmas holidays. But we're just in qualifying at the 75-minute race as well, so these drivers will definitely have to try and basically be focused and concentrate as well, because Bathurst, if you lose your concentration or try and just push that a little bit hard as well, it can bite you, Dave.
Yeah, it really can, as we saw from with Clyde. He hit the wall there in his qualifying lap, and he really, really doesn't need to be doing something silly this race. He's got Sem Spenkelink and Jonathan Seville are pretty much around him in terms of the drivers, but you've still got Hackler and Nard Cox still capable, and also Luca Filippi. Actually not Luca Filippi, but Nard Cox and Hackler are still capable of catching him in terms of his points haul if he doesn't score. So really wants to be careful out there. He just wants to finish. If he doesn't have an incident, I hope he probably realises just carry on and get to the checkered flag, and he probably get enough points to see him home. But yeah, it's unfortunate Sam's not here this evening. He must have a technical issue that maybe meant he couldn't race, so we'll see. But it's good to see Adam Asailovic back on the grid. I know he's been very, very busy with some of the work he's been doing this season, so he's not been able to race. So thankfully he's found some time to relax and actually be on track. And there's his lovely BMW. And good to see Nathan Pearce back this week as well.
Yeah, good to see Adam and also Nathan, like you mentioned, back out on track. And looking at the turnout of cars, it's good to see a healthy 23 cars on the grid for the final round. And as we watch Pearce coming across the line now in the Lamborghini, and they currently was inside the top 10, but he just gets bumped out there. But I just think, what do you think the keys to the race are going to be? Yeah, Dave, obviously we were talking about it. Bathurst is one of those tracks that you can never really, it's one of those tracks that it feels rewarding to nail a lap around here, especially a qualifying lap. But in the race, I think, do you think drivers are going to have to be a little bit more wary or cautious, especially over that mountain section, especially corners such as Skyline, because they're going so quick, and all of a sudden you're having to slow down really quickly?
Yeah, it's a very much a rhythm track, this one. You've unfortunately the long straights, you can end up falling asleep a little bit sometimes if you're not closely racing somebody, and you've got to be on it all the time. And once you've got your rhythm, it's actually it's a joy to drive this track. I don't think they're going to be struggling too much with tyres today. I think it's unlikely anybody will change tyres in their pit stop. It's normally pretty pretty decent in terms of tyre wear, and I don't think we see too much in terms of tyre wear for any of the cars. And obviously you can see Yannick really pushing that Lamborghini down into Skyline and through the S's, and obviously coming up to the Dipper in a second here, which is actually quite a challenging track when you get round there, and into Forest Elbow as well. You really got to take really tight and just really run out into the wall, and it's so easy to actually nudge that wall, and if you do, you lose up to half a second sometimes, because you're just losing that speed down the straight.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think some of the drivers as well. I think maybe it wouldn't surprise me if maybe someone decides to go a different route with the setup. Maybe use a slightly lower downforce for the straight. So maybe some other drivers will maybe use higher downforce for the mountain section. But as we look at Yannick Van Duke coming down to the final corner, currently in 5th place, and really wringing the neck out of that car in the mountain section there, and came close to clipping the wall a few times, but as he comes across the line, it looks like he's not going to improve, so currently stays in the 5th place for the moment.
Yeah, I think we got Alex Crawford on screen there, nearly 4 tenths up this lap, so that could put him in P5 potentially. So he was obviously again in the Lamborghini there. I actually quite like the Lamborghini. It's a difficult car to extract the speed out of, but once you get it settled and and compliant, then it's actually a really nice car to drive, much like the Audi.
Yeah,
it did improve there, but only up to P8.
Yeah, I was going to say that the Lambo I like as well. It's the only thing I hate about the Lambo is the cockpit view. It just feels, I don't know why, it just feels very claustrophobic if you like to call it that. But I'd probably say my favourite car for being comfortable in the stable is probably the Aston Martin. It's just one of those cars that I've always found I can jump in and drive and be on the pace straight away, but other cars maybe don't seem to be like that. Some other cars maybe seem to be twitchy and you've got to be very careful of your inputs, especially looking at the Honda, for example. It's one of those cars that's quick in a straight line, but sometimes if you're coming into a corner or in the middle of a corner, it can just randomly swap ends on you.
It can, of course. Any rear mid-engine cars, it's always going to be a bit lively on the rear, especially if you haven't got the balance right. They tend to be quite susceptible to brake bias as well. You can swap ends quite quickly if you have your brake bias too far back. Obviously, I don't think we're going to be having too much of an issue with that on this track. There's not many heavy braking zones. You've got it obviously into the chase. You've got the turn 21 and 22, which is fairly heavy at the bottom of the Conrod straight, and really the only other one is really the cutting and into Forest Elbow. There's obviously the Forest Elbow is probably the most difficult because you're unloading the tyres into it. Because you've got a little kink to the right there, so you really just got to be feeding off the throttle just before you brake to turn in, before you go down the Conrod straight. So yeah, it's going to be it's good. And if we see Matt Tubby is currently in P12, and actually it's nearly half a second up on this lap, so he could be making a nice improvement here if he finishes it well and coming through the last turn. See if he keeps it on the track. He does that quite well, and yeah, P7. So good last lap there. That's made it count when it mattered.
Yeah, absolutely. And the qualifying just came to a close now, so yeah, we'll take you through the grid, and taking the pole position for the final round of the season is James Mead in the 29 Honda, with Clark Barney taking second, then rounding out the front row with the flying German and someone that's been really impressive this season in the races he's done, Luca Felipe, qualifying third, with Finland's Jonas Hakkinen fourth, and then Aaron van Drunen taking the pole position for the semi-class in 5th place, with Yannick Van Duke qualifying 5th, with 7th going to Matt Tubby, Nard Cox in 8th, and Alex Crawford 9th, with Andrew Richardson rounding out the top 10, and then 11th is Vincent Volchek, with Nathan Pearson 12th, Jason Vojnovic in 13th, with Martin van der Kraan 14th, 15th is Danny Swart, with Simon Wilk 16th, Sander Vale 17th, and Tim Neibauer in 18th, with Bart Zwierink in 19th, and 20th Jitse Medima, and then 21st is Dan Lenson with the Joan Planis in 22nd, and the 23rd and rounded out the grid is Adam Isilovic.
Yeah, nice. Obviously, Aaron Van Drunen, really showing that probably shouldn't be in the semi-pro class next year, which we'll see where he finishes. But obviously, we do get a promotion and demotion from the tiers, so we'll see what happens. But obviously, Danny Dessoir is down in P15, but really, I don't actually think anyone can beat him in terms of his final position. So I think it doesn't really matter as long as he finishes, but he's only sort of P6 there in terms of class. Just so anyone watching who's not watched before, the one next to the car number on the right hand side there on the timetable is how many pit stops, mandatory stops they have left to do. Clearly there's only one for this race, and tonight is for fuel only, not tyres. So they literally have to take, I think, 1 or 2 litres of fuel in the pit stops, which takes about 2 to 3 seconds once they've stopped and they're back out. If we see anybody in the pit slot longer than that, then they've either made a mistake or they've got damage generally, or they've decided to take tyres.
Yeah, it was good to bring that up as well with regards to the pit stops. It wouldn't surprise me if some people maybe further back in the pack, if they can't get by someone, maybe whoever they're battling, maybe their car's quicker on a straight line, or they're just being held up. It wouldn't surprise me if some drivers maybe in the mid pack decide to pit early and maybe try and get a bit of an undercut and get some clear air, because especially Bathurst, there's not really many passing opportunities, or the only places I can think of is the straight after turn 1. Or maybe the back straight heading down to the chase into the final few corners. So I think that's the only places I can think of that you can make a move. But I think it's going to be in the early stages anyway, a bit of a procession.
Yeah, maybe. It's very much a limiting of mistakes track, especially up the into the turn 1 and also down Forest Elbow. Down the Conrod Straight. So obviously, if you've got a car that they need to be probably less than 2 tenths behind. So if we see them on track and they're really bumper to bumper, then you've got a good chance of getting past down the straights. Other than that, it is literally follow a leader unless you've got somebody who's run wide or made a mistake. And I'm sure we're going to see some of that. Hopefully, this track, turn 1 hell corner, which is normally is obviously a 90 degree, it can become a bit of a pinch point on lap 1, so hopefully everyone's going to behave themselves and just let everyone get through quite nicely, because it actually does make it a nice race. Obviously Griffin's Bend up in turn 2 as well, that again can be quite tricky. We've seen 3-4 wides up the mountain straight where people have run wide or been pushed out, and it really makes a bit of a harem scarum up at the top of the straight there.
Yeah, I was going to say, heading down Mountain Straight as well, it wouldn't surprise me if you see some people trying to gain some positions maybe before the Mountain Six and try and get some track position as well before the pit stop, because, like I say, passing around here is going to be difficult, but so we're just waiting for the cars to start rolling off the grid, and I think it's pretty much going to be a case of, I think James Mead needs to try and get a good start off the line, because I think heading across that Mountain Section, especially on cold tyres, making a move is going to be it's going to be difficult rather. But I think as the cars roll off now, it's going to be a case of through that mountain section on lap 1, it's just going to be a case of you've just pretty much just need to stay behind. But as the cars start rolling off the grid, and looking at Nard Cox as well, the teammate of Sam Sprinkle, I think, Nard Cox as well, one of those drivers that's been consistent this season. He's had some decent finishes this season, and I think he was one of the drivers that was took part in the 24 hours of Suzuka to raise money for charity. So it was good to see a good turnout of the teams for that event as well. And from what I heard, the event had good feedback.
Yeah, it's an awesome event. Over 7,000 euros earned for a great charity against cancer that run motorsport race. Once a year they do a sort of a motorsport themed day for children and their families that are dealing with cancer or going through that currently. So yeah, it's a great charity. They also do 2 residentials a year, which is basically a holiday for the kids, just so they can just become kids again and just see some nice cars. And some of the community people have got some nice cars, and they're going to try and go there as well. So just to give them a bit of support. Obviously the monetary support that we had at the endurance race is great, and thank you to everyone that managed to donate, and obviously those that bidded on various auction items as well. It was a great event. A lot of fun was had, especially as people got tired. In terms of the commentary team as well, it was obviously got a bit messy, shall we say? So, but it was good fun. It always is, and I don't know if you've ever raced in any really long endurance races. You've got to get on with the people that you race with. But once you get going, and it is another thing racing with a team of people. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've done plenty of long races as well. Basically 8 hours, 12, actually 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, and sometimes it's it can be a bit frustrating when the races don't go your way. But on the other hand, the way I look at it is, it's not, you're basically doing the same thing with other people that have got the same interest in the same hobby as you, and they just doing something. Even if you're not doing well, doing it for fun, and they raising money for charity is always a good thing. And it's good to see the event so well supported as well, with loads of teams taken to the grid. And yeah, we had from what I saw, there was maybe, I can't remember if there was one red flag or 2 red flags, but still it looked like it looked and sounded like everyone had a good time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and just see actually an update. Sem has actually got no internet, which is why he's not racing. So it must be that's gutting, because he had a good chance really of taking the championship. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And Lulu B, welcome both of you to the stream. And she says the worst thing about the 24 was figuring out what to do once it was over. I think she should have already joined some of the races. I think some of the guys joined some races in the afternoon. I know obviously Yvonne was doing another 24-hour whilst the race was on, while she was doing commentary. So fair play to those to people that do multiple races and multiple things like commentary as well. So it's all good. But as we come around to the start of the race,
yep, as the cars start to form up on the grid now, and as James B, that'll pretty much that'll be controlling the pace coming up to the final corner. But all the cars, they can't go when they can't go straight away. They've got to wait for the green lights to come on. But as they come round the final corner now, everyone's started to go 2 by 2, heading up to the start finish line, and they wait for the green light to come on, and they will be underway. As James Mead looking a bit eager to try and get away and get a jump on Clayton Barney, as the green lights are out, and away we go into turn 1.
Yeah, Junior actually got a bit of a jump on Hackler there, and he's actually got up the inside on the straight, and it might have a good run. There's still a little bit of a mess at the back there, but it's not too bad. Doesn't look like anyone's going the wrong way. But the car 174 there, Nate Pierce, is in the pit, so he must have missed his go to grid.
Yep, as the cars head up to the mountain section now, and it looks like it's still James Mead leading, and they still under attack, or still under pressure rather, from Clayton Barney. But the German, the Luca Felipe, in third place now, and the Hackler, it looks like he's in 4th place as well, and Van Drunen still has got a good start as well as they come up to the mountain section now. And this is pretty much there's not really anywhere to go, but this is probably the part of the race that terrifies me, because if you're right behind someone, you don't know what they're going to do, if they'll hit the wall or go out of control, and if they do, there's not really anywhere for you to go. But still, as you come over Skyline now, and it looks like everyone's had a relatively clean start. There was maybe 1 or 2 cars at the back of the field. As I say that, it looks like Matt Tubby just went slightly offline there.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. He just run a little bit wide, probably got out into the marbles, which isn't ideal. But literally, if you stay on, once you get back onto line, there's no way past, and it's not really the problem corner if you run wide. but he's obviously got the Aston there. That's a Bentley, sorry, of Niall Cox behind him. But I don't think the Bentley's really going to have the legs there. But it's actually Yannick Valenduk and Aaron Van Drunen. So Valenduk's actually passed Van Drunen on the first lap there. So as we go, Matt Toey's just sort of going defensive. He's got his feet on the grass really there, and he's wow, that was Code Brown there, wasn't it?
Oh, he clipped the grass again, and how on earth he held that, I'll never know, but he clipped the grass and got sideways there, and I thought for a second he was going to go into the side of Nard Cox there, but great car control from the Tubby there to keep on the track, but as I come across the line to complete the first lap, it's still Mead leading from the Barney, from Felipe, from Hakkelen, Valenduk and Van Drunen, and Aaron Van Drunen, one of those drivers that was in contention at one point for the semi-class championship, but just the luck has not gone his way, and I think he missed 1 or 2 races this season, so pretty much out of it now. But still have a good start to the race for him, along with Valenduk, as it looks like Tim Nybar is trying to make a move, but can't get the move done. If he goes around trying to go around the outside, that's a bit risky. We've gone on the marbles, and it looks like he got a bit of a hip check there.
Yeah, you can't go around the outside there. You're just putting yourself way at risk. There's no grip over there, and he's lost a place because of it. You're better off just biding your time. If you're definitely not going to get up the inside, there's no point going around the outside. Back out, just squeeze the car on the inside, just so they maybe have a little bit less speed, and you can actually get a switchback. So as you can see, obviously the guys are really pushing, and they're so close to the wall. As is always the way here, but as we can see coming over the top into the dipper, and this is such a rewarding section of track when you get it right. You're really up against the walls, left right, and down into the little chicane there. And you see Medina looks like he's actually always touching the wall left, right, and centre there. So hopefully he's not got too much damage, but he's got himself going again. But I think he may actually be almost to the back of the pack there. So just Nathan Pearce just behind him.
Yeah, it looks like Medina maybe just lost control there. He did clip the wall a couple of times, so he might have some body damage or the suspension damage. But back up closer to the front, they've got this battle between the two semi-class drivers of Valenduk and Van Drunen going at it, and it looks like Aaron not being overly eager to try and make a move, but maybe just trying to unsettle Yannick. But looking at Vincent Wilczek as well, down in 10th position, and our other driver's been there and thereabouts, had some decent results this season, and other times maybe just luck's not been gone his way. But again, looking at the battle between the Finn Hakkelen, and it looks like Valenduk's got a bit of a run in that slipstream, and maybe trying to make a move on the outside. That would be, as we saw with Tim Nybar trying to make a move, but never seems to work. Yeah, you can maybe make it work, but you've got to be alongside and maybe try and have some good grip and good momentum, but probably not the best place to make a move. But still, it's like Aaron Van Drunen definitely trying to give Valenduk a bit of a hurry up.
Yeah, I think Yannick did the right thing though. Just sort of backed out enough just to allow Hakkelen back through the corner. But obviously Van Drunen's just really sort of sitting there. But this is where he really needs to be getting up close, because even though it looks quite close, that's not going to be anywhere near close enough to get a good enough slipstream down the Conrod straight into the chase and up into the last 2 corners with the chicane. So he's really going to have to be much closer. And actually the AMG Mercedes is actually pretty good round that section of the track. As you can see though, he's lost a bit of time to Yannick, so Yannick's actually back on putting a bit of pressure on Hakkelen in the Ferrari. Indeed.
Yeah, just watched that Lambo as well. I've not really raced in a Lambo that much, but from the races I've been in with when I've been racing the Aston Martin, if I've had a Lambo behind me, that Lambo in a straight line is definitely not slow, and closing up to the rear of Hakkelen. Hakkelen looks like as it looks like Vujanovic has had an issue there, got absolutely sideways through the chase, and amazingly kept out. Someone just about clips the rear end of him, and as just rejoins the track, that looks like it's Bart Zwierink.
Yeah, so it looks like Zwerek and Medina are actually off the track there as well at the same time. So maybe they had an incident. But yeah, wow, that was pretty good car control to keep that out of the barriers, because I've definitely sailed through into those barriers when losing it at the bottom of the Conrad Straight. So well done there. But again, Yannick's really got the pace on Hackler there. And it's a bit of rubbing there, but that's pushing wide, and Van Drunen is going to take advantage and go through.
Yeah, I think that's what Aaron Van Drunen was doing. He's maybe just hanging back and waiting for an opportunity to arise. And just as I said, that an opportunity opened, and Van Drunen saw the opportunity and gained the position. And I think again, Yannick, they're just trying to go around the outside. But again, as I saw, it never seems to work, especially with not having much grip on the outside, and also the marbles as well. If you get in the marbles, you'll pretty much just a passenger. But it looks like at the moment, Aaron Van Drunen seems to be on a bit of a roll at the moment, trying to gain as many positions as possible. Maybe trying to gain as many positions as possible. As we know from times this season, that he's one of those drivers that seems to hit really early to try and get some clear air.
Yeah, he's just nudged the wall there, so he's going to be a bit of a disadvantage from Hackler in front down the straight. But yes, you cannot underestimate how difficult it is to follow along the top part of this track. As you can see, he's just closing in there, but really he's not got the legs, I don't think, in terms of the overall speed. But he may look to try and stem one up the inside, but no, he's taken the better option, I think, in terms of just backing out, just live to fight another day, and don't send it too early.
Yeah, absolutely. As it back up at the front, it still would be Mead leading from Barney and Luca Felipe as well. It was like the top three have pulled away, and looking at the top three as well, they're all it's pretty much a Honda festival at the moment up at the front, as not Barney, Felipe runs wide and clips the grass slightly, but the top three starting to pull away now. So it looks like the top three at the moment have pretty much got the edge on pace on the rest of the field.
Yeah, some good battling there. So Vujanovic just looking like he's trying to get back up through, just run out of room there, which is fair play. Sometimes it's you try to go around the outside, you expect to be pushed out onto the grass if you don't get enough room. So as we see, Danny Deswat is also in the semi-pro, just trying to track down Martin van der Kraan there in P13, which is actually P5 in class. So. For those who don't know and haven't watched before, the silver or white number boards next to each of the drivers is the pro class, and the grey silver is the semi-pro class. So as you can see, they get the same amount of points for finishing first in class. That depends on where they come out. But if you want to see the current standards, you can see them on our website at Simsport-Racing.com. Just look for the leaderboards, and you can see the current standings. We've obviously from the races previously, and there is a drop round as well, so they will be taking their worst point score off at the end of the season.
Yeah, there's this battle in the silver class with Van Drunen and Valenduc kid coming down the straight, and it was like again that Lambo in a straight line is definitely rapid and closes right up, but just nothing that Yannick can do, and again closes right up under braking, and Aaron gets a little bit sketchy there. But back up at the front, the battle for second and third is going on between Barney and Felipe, and I think if I was Barney, I would be just thinking about the championship and not making a big issue of it, because I think at this stage it looks like Felipe is maybe the quicker driver, but again Felipe backs out a bit and decides to tuck him from behind.
Yeah, didn't they have a very interesting start of the race last time, or was that with Sem? I think it was definitely Clyde, wasn't it? And Felipe last time out. They've just taken up the gauntlet again. But yeah, it was a pretty decent race in there. Nothing too aggressive, and Luca Felipe's definitely got to make a move. But when's he going to do it? And is he going to launch one up the inside, or try and just wait for the mistake, the eventual mistake that might come out of any driver on the track at the moment?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wonder if Felipe is just deciding to maybe see if Barney will make a mistake. As I think Felipe just clipped the wall there, or I think he was close to clipping the wall anyway, and definitely pushing there as he's lost a little bit of a gap to Barney now. So Luca Felipe maybe just being a little bit, just pushing a little bit too early in in this race so far. But I think Barry's just maybe just trying to keep his cool and just think of the championship, and all he really needs to do is finish in the top 3, I think, and that's him. They got it wrapped up, I think.
I think he's looking racy. The Honda's not looking particularly settled. It's certainly bouncing around quite a bit at the top of the hill there. So, obviously we've seen on board with Luca. I don't know if we can maybe see on board with Clyde as well at some point, Tom, and see how he's looking in terms of his overall compliance of the car. It doesn't look as rigid as Luca Felipe, which might actually benefit him through the race. His tyre wear might not be as good, but certainly it'll be a bit more compliant and not likely to spit you off at any opportunity, like it did look a little bit like Luca Felipe's car was going to.
As I come across the line, and as I was talking about not too long ago about with Aaron Van Drunen pitting early, it looks like he's doing the same again. So coming into the pits now, and I think he. Yeah, pretty much just be a few only stop, I believe. But looking at his car, he's got some scratches on the side there, so maybe just he definitely clipped the wall. And I think, but you also have the option, if you don't want to repair the damage, you can turn it off in the pit menu. So I think Aaron will probably do that. But yeah, just watching Felipe's onboard and watching his steering inputs, that car's definitely looking a little bit ragged and not really settled. And watching the Barney's on board, the Barney seems to be a lot more relaxed.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just watching Aaron Van Drunen's pit time, and it actually is almost up to 30-second stop. So it actually looks like he's taken tyres, which I'm quite surprised about, if I'm honest. He's about 35 seconds now, so I wonder if there's some significant damage that means he's going to. He's standing still for quite some time, which it'll be unfortunate if he's picked up enough damage to not be able to carry on the race.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened to Aaron. Just watching. I was watching his onboard as well, and it looks like he might have retired. He might have retired from the race possibly, but I don't know if maybe something's happened. If maybe. Don't know, maybe just too much damage for Aaron to keep going, but I'm surprised by that because it was only a slight clip of the wall. But further back in the top 10, it was like, Alex Crawford, they managed to get away with it through the chase, and how on earth he survived, pretty much kept control of that. But that was there's been several scary moments through the chase there with people getting on the grass, and they still somehow managing to save it. And it looks like Dan Lentz's came out the pits as well after making an early pit stop. So some drivers deciding to pit early, maybe just wanting to try and get some clear air and put some quick laps down.
Yeah, Lentzen was in the pits for around 40 seconds as well, so clearly he's potentially had some tyres as well. So it actually looks potentially like Aaron's just really stopped in the pits, really. So he a little bit of damage on the front of his car, but not entirely sure what's gone on. Maybe if he does come into the YouTube chat, he'll be able to let us know. Yeah, possibly. He might have had, I think, as Tom said, just saying he had a bit of a problem with his knee last time, maybe. So maybe he's still struggling with his driving. Maybe he's just reeling from doing a couple of stints in the 24-hour.
Yeah, I remember hearing about Aaron having some knee issues. So maybe just especially I think I can't remember if he runs load cell pedals or if it's Huskenveld pedals. I think he runs. So maybe if he just not feeling comfortable with having to apply much loads of pressure on the brake, but still it's not nice to see him retire from the race. But better to think about your health rather than try and push yourself and doing any further damage. But back up at the front, they've still got this battle for second place between as Felipe runs wide, just about runs into the back of Barney, but has to run wide to avoid clipping him. But yeah, definitely. Luca Felipe not trying not to hang around by any means, but that mistake's just allowed Barney to pull away and build a bit of a comfortable margin. But I think that gap will probably come back down in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I think Clyde's really just probably he's now got to make it count that he's not got Luca Felipe right up behind him, and then try and close the gap to James Mead up the front as we see Sarneval now coming out the pits. And Sarneval in the pits for 1 minute 14 seconds, so that was definitely a damage stop, that one.
And also Medema coming out the pits as well, so several drivers deciding to make an early pit stop. So, and also John Planis is coming into the pits as well, so another driver deciding to pit early now with just under 1 hour remaining. And that's crazy. This race is absolutely flew by, and we've only got about pretty much the 57 minutes left in this race, but still it's James Mead leading the race. And consider that Clayton Barney and Luca Felipe are probably one of the two of the quickest drivers in GT3 cars on the SSRi community. James Mead is not let the pressure get to him, and they having a good run so far.
Yeah, commentator's curse there, Ryan, so you be careful.
I was going to say I better keep my mouth shut after saying that.
But no, his car looks pretty settled, and it doesn't look like he's making any. As we see, use that bar as very in the wall and just brought it back to pits. So I wonder if he's going to actually DNF or whether he'll come back out after he's fixed his damage. But he still have another pit stop to do as well after that, and obviously he's in the pro class. So as we see, Alex Crawford hitting the wall really hard just round. Just around Forest Elbow in turn 19, so I think that is looking like it won't be steering very straight, I suspect. Yeah,
it looked like Alex maybe just tried to get on the power too early, or maybe just tried to get on the power too early, and the car just understeered wide and clipped the wall. And that was unfortunate because he was having a great run inside the top 10. But it'd be interesting to see how much damage he's got from that. But it wouldn't surprise me if he's got some slight front right suspension damage and body damage as well. But as Alex decides to come into the pits now, and I'm not surprised by that, because that damage, I'm probably guessing, will probably be about between 30 to 40 seconds.
Yeah, maybe, as we saw obviously there with Simon Wilkes and Wilczek battling out yet again in the race. Obviously different classes, but they've been pretty much stuck together the last 3 races, I think, from what I remember. This is obviously close enough, but really Simon wants to try and get up the inside, and if he does go to the outside, he's really got to try and squeeze Wilczek on the inside to make him really slow around into Griffin's Bend. But he's definitely done, or he might actually go up around the outside. He's actually got position here to get into the cut-in, and he's actually made it work.
Yeah, I think that's the first driver we've seen that has made the move working outside in that corner. Other drivers we've seen have either run wide or just basically carried too much speed. But Simon Wilkes got the run, he got the slipstream, and it looks like Clayton Barnett's had an issue on the mountain.
That is an Austin Powers moment as well. You really do not want to go backwards or forwards, and he's just getting clipped from behind. And these guys with the yellow flags need to be doubly careful. So Clyde's going to literally have to wait for all the cars to get by. He's actually managed to find a gap, as we see that. I think that's Simon Wilkes just going through. Yep. Wow, that is the worst place to get caught, because you literally can't go backwards, you can't go forwards, and you can't see up the hill unless you're in VR as well. So really difficult. So, but he's managed to get going, and just a couple of nudges, I think, from the cars. So he shouldn't have too much damage there, I don't think, unless he hit the wall quite hard going in.
Yeah, I wonder if Barney made that classic mistake of carrying loads of speed over Skyline, and just as soon as he went to brake, maybe just lost the rear end, or maybe that the Honda rear end doing its usual trick of just basically coming round when you least expect it. And thankfully, Barney still managed to keep going, but not something that you want to do when you're in contention for a championship. But I think he maybe just pushing too much, and you're not surprised again that Barney's into the pits to try and fix as much of that damage as possible, or maybe just not lose too much time. But still, he'll be kicking himself for that.
Yeah, he will, but I think he's just got to finish tonight to actually get enough points to secure the championship. But as we, Luca Felipe's 5 seconds behind James Mead, so James Mead's really doing well. And obviously Adam Salevich, who's actually pitted and currently out of the people that have pitted in P4. So we'll give him P4 for now until the rest have pitted, and we'll probably disappoint him at some point. But he's obviously, I'm sure he's enjoying himself.
Absolutely, and looking back at the leader, someone else has had it. Look at Felipe's had an issue. Is that through the chase?
That is up the top of it. I think that's actually through McFilly Park. So McFillery Park has run wide before he's even got to the skyline. So that's really, really unfortunate. But obviously he's going to need to get going. I think has he had a problem? It looks like he's trying to steer, but he's not going anywhere. So I wonder if he's got a pedal problem.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because he's got steering inputs, but he's not. I can't see any. Now he's managed to get going. I wonder if I've got a feeling through McFilly Park. I think he might have clipped that inside care possibly, and it's maybe just unsettled the car and maybe just launched him into the gravel or even into the wall. But it's got steering damage as well. So I've got.
He's literally hard left there, so he's gonna have to go. He's gonna have to go back to pits. He's not going to try and get around the track.
I wonder.
There we go. He's back to pits. Yeah, good move.
I wonder if I don't know. Maybe I don't know if that was maybe a wheel problem or if it's just maybe, like I say, maybe clipped that inside Kevin McFilly Park and it's sent him into the gravel. But yeah, some of the front runners having issues. Well, James Mead, I don't want to put the curse on him, but James Mead just out there doing his thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just got a message from Aaron Van Druren, and unfortunately his child's poorly, so he's got DNF, unfortunately. So but I'm sure everyone wishes your little one well, Aaron. So we see James Mead now. James has just got 10 seconds now to hackle up. No need to really do anything unusual. It's really difficult, obviously, to drive within your limits, because sometimes actually that makes it worse. So obviously he's still pushing to the limit of his that he wants to, but I think he doesn't want to push too hard. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing with having a big lead as well in a race like this, especially around Bathurst, that you kind of you don't want to push too much, so you want to kind of back off as well. But the downside of backing off is sometimes you can easily lose your concentration just because you're not really under attack, and also you're not basically pushing yourself. So if you back off too much, you lose your concentration, and around this track it's not something that you really want. But further back in the top 10, we've got this battle between Valchek, Van der Kraan and Vujanovic as well. So in the top 10, it also just looks like Martin de Swart, or Danny de Swart rather, as well, just in contact with these guys as well. So still plenty of close battles going on throughout the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we see, Yannick Van Underk up in P3, but P1 in class, but he's still on the overall podium, which is oh wow, that was like a bit of a nudge, but he's going to keep it out of the wall. Just keep your brakes on. And he's managed to keep. Well done there, but that looked like a little bit of a tapper, sort of maybe caused him to get a bit of a tank slapper on there. But I'm not sure if we'll get a replay on that, but it didn't look like it was of his own doing.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate there, but thankfully there wasn't any big issues between both cars, just a slight tap. But the Swart, the Van der Kraan rather, managing to keep going again, and now he's under attack from it looks like a recovering Nathan Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan obviously had a bit of a nightmare not getting to the grid. Obviously forgot to press press drive, so it puts you in the pits. So getting up to P13, still. Apart from Luca Filippi, who's obviously in the pits for damage, which probably doesn't look like he's going to come out at all. Nathan Pierce is currently obviously running last in terms of those that haven't pitted, but I'm sure he'll be still making moves. And obviously he's putting a lot of pressure on Van der Kraan, as we see now. Matt Tubby's still now pushing. Oh, that's not cuts, just barrels straight into the barriers, and that is going to be a pretty heavy hit, I think, on the Bentley. Even though it's built like a tank, I think he's going to be struggling with it with his steering.
Yeah, that was a bit of a hefty whack on the front end there, and It wouldn't surprise me if that steering was slightly bent or at a slight angle. But someone else has had an issue. That's Adam Isailovic.
Yeah, I think we're definitely commentator's curse, and this is another one of those corners where you really don't want to be crashing because you can't get out of it easily. But yeah, I think you'd be looking at a track map and going, yep, actually I think I'm clear for quite a while now, so I can do me Austin Powers backwards and forwards and get around there without hitting the wall too many more times.
Yeah, he's trying to get going again. Yeah, he manages to get going with no traffic covered across the mountain, thankfully. So it looks like Adam got away with that. Maybe just looks like he just lost control over the mountain there, and that's the thing with the Bathurst as well. You can push as much as you want, but there's pushing. If you push too much, so you end up making a mistake, and it looks like Adam just looked it, but thankfully managed to get away with it. But still, this battle between Van de Kraan and Pierce as well still going on, and I have to say it's been a great recovery drive from Nathan, considering, like you say, you had to start from the pits, and that's not always a bad thing around Bathurst, especially when the other drivers have issues, and you can take pounce on the opportunity and pick up positions. But it looks like Andy de Swart still trying to get by Vincent Walchik as well. The two Audis going at it, and this is a battle for position in class as well. So heading up to the mountain section, and de Swart as well, pretty much leading that class championship as well, and just pretty much just needs to finish to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think Nathan certainly was probably a bit gutted that he didn't get onto the picks. Obviously, he's a pro driver, so he's literally stuck in amongst a lot of semi-pro drivers, which obviously he's going to keep out of the wall. He's done really well there to keep that out of the wall, but that really puts a lot of the other drivers off their line. And is he going to? That's wow.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was watching Danny go spinning around there, and I thought I was basically holding my breath there, because I thought the other cars coming up to him were going to run into the back of him, but somehow they all managed to avoid de Swart, and de Swart as well. I think he'll be thanking his lucky stars for keeping out of the wall there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the incident reports, and actually in terms of the races, it's not been that many contacts between cars, but clearly we've seen quite a lot of incidents where people have just done it themselves, as is the way with this track. And we've certainly seen some massive incidents in the V8 supercars in real life with this, as we see Nard Cox probably realising he probably needs to get into the pits and repair that damage. You can see a very second-hand Bentley.
Yeah, indeed, it looks like Tim Neibauer's coming into the pits as well, so more and more people are making their pit stops now, and I think this is pretty much the stage of the race where everyone starts to dive into the pits, and looking at Yannick Van Dijk as well, currently leading his class, and it looks like having a good run for that Lamborghini as well, and not too far behind him you've got Matt Tubby as well, in fourth. So, but apart from that, the field seems to have spread out ever so slightly, and as people are making their pit stops, and I think the likes of James Mead will try and go as on as possible, pretty much try and leave the pit stop as late as he can. But yeah, it hasn't been as chaotic as I thought it would be. But we've had some some little incidents from time to time. But as Nard Cox comes out the pits, and it looks like Tim Neibauer as well. They might have sorry, that's Martin Van de. Sorry, that's a back marker. Sorry, I was getting mixed up there for a second. But yeah, Nard Cox making his pit stop, and it looks like he might have lost the position to Nathan Pierce. It's a couple of back markers anyway. There's so much action going on. It's been hard to keep up.
I think it's Neibauer that's in front of him, and then you've got the Ferrari. I think Planis may have also jumped them as well. So jumped in front of Nard Cox. So Neibauer's now got in front of the Ferrari. So actually, sorry, you got in front of him without the pit. So obviously three by three now up the top of the track. So Nard will be just wanting to settle down, and when you hit the wall like that, it really does take a few laps for you to get that out of your mind and just get back into the rhythm. But I think in terms of the pit stops, well, we do see, obviously half and half is probably the quickest way if you are not racing anybody on track. But in reality, if you pit too early and you get stuck behind a load of people, as we see Planis just running really wide and actually just nearly clipping the wall there, and that's allowed Cox to get really close. And actually, if he can just get a little bit closer through into Forest Elbow, then he might actually get a run down the straight here, because the Ferrari's pretty good down the straight, but he looks like the Bentley's close enough, and he's actually got a good run. So look at the speed of that Bentley.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was looking at the straight line speed of that Bentley, what's in the onboard, and yeah, that Bentley, even though it doesn't seem to get used as much these days, it's still a quick car in a straight line, and especially in other ACC competitions or series such as SSRi Sports as well. Some of the top drivers still use a Bentley and somehow seem to be able to extract a really good pace out of it.
Yeah, I'm just actually looking at the top speed so far, and the Bentley's 277 kmh, and actually the car that's got the fastest is the Lamborghini with 284, so 7 kmh quicker than the Bentley there. And James Mead's only done 277. Clearly he's not been close enough to anyone to get a slipstream, because obviously he's so far out in front at the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. That Lamborghini, I've done some laps of it, and it is a really, really nice car to drive, and in a straight line like we saw there, Valenduc as well. That car is quick in a straight line, and I think maybe some drivers such as Yannick and Nathan Pierce maybe running lower wing.
Yeah, I think obviously if we actually see a Porsche, if we saw a Porsche in the field tonight, then we probably would have seen a car running quite high wing, because it does really pull out quite a lot of, as we see Neubauer in the wall just around, I think that's skyline, isn't it? Just over the top of skyline, so it's just letting it roll around under gravity, but needs to get away from there. Whoa, that's Clyde Barney. It's just gone through him. Wow, I don't really want to happen there. I mean, it looked like Clyde got surprised that he was there, so although really he was off the track at the time. And what's Clyde going to do?
Yeah, I think he's got to do an Austin Powers move and try and get it going again, but this is the thing with trying to get going again and trying to turn it round, that you don't know if any cars are going to come across the mountain and fly into you. So it's pretty much hold your breath and hope for the best.
This is where you really want a button to turn your traction control off instantly and just spin it around, because just especially where you got a car with decent traction control, you cannot lose the rear end when you want it to. So yeah, it's obviously he's having a bit of a nightmare anyway, but yeah, that was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, I just seen the Clake coming down over Skyline and just lost it. So I've got a feeling that might be that pretty much the typical Honda behaviour, that just basically the rear end letting go when you don't expect it. But somehow James Mead is still out in the lead, and he's not been having any issues with the Honda. But that's the thing with the Honda as well. Some drivers seem to make the car work, and it seems to suit their driving style. Other drivers seem to really struggle with it, because it's got that pretty much sketchy rear end behaviour when you don't want it. But still, I think Barney's pretty much I guess he'll be hoping to get this race out of the way as quickly as possible. But it's maybe just not had as much time to practice around here.
Yeah, but hey, look, he's still in P8 in class, so that's still a reasonable amount of points. I think P8 will get you 40 points, so that's still a reasonable amount of points. I'm sure it's not that many points, but I'm just looking at the actual positions, and Johan Planis finished P8 last race and he got 40 points. So just have a quick look at Jitsi Meduma also. 40 points, so he's still going to easily score enough points to actually move himself clear of Sem Spenkelink. Obviously, clearly he doesn't want to have a zero finish at all, because then Sem will will stay in P1. So I'm sure Sam on chat will be having fingers crossed and saying to himself, not to anyone else, that come on, Clyde, make sure you have a disconnect or something. As we see Vujanovic, and I think that's Vilcek now battling out as well for P8 and P7.
Absolutely, as they come through the mountain section, now heading up to McPhillamy Park, and the Wilczek having a good race inside the top 10 in 7th place at the moment, and they come over Skyline now, and it looks like all close together, and it looks like Vilcek, I think if Vujanovic gets a run, I think he might try and make the move and beat up with that BMW, but that Audi in a straight line as well, definitely a quick car. It looks like Wilczek might have missed his turning point now and clips the wall.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely going to allow Vujanovic to actually get the run, and a little bit of rubbing on the straight there. But that Audi is really quick in a straight line, and obviously the BMW really wants to make sure he stays on the outside there to get the inside into the chicane. So he's taken the wide line, and it looks like he's going to have this move done. Obviously he's hoping that he's not going to get around the outside. He's just, wow, that's great racing, but I don't think I'd be allowing that Audi to go around the outside there for sure.
Absolutely, and it looks like side by side into the final quarter. Actually, it looks like Wilczek retakes the position, so it looks like maybe that slight damage is not affecting him too much, but it looks like they've got an Audi come up behind them as well, so it looks like it's Danny DeSwart, and it looks like we've got a free car battle going on, and Wilczek starting to pull away slightly at the moment, but I think it looks like that BMW will be under pressure from Danny DeSwart in a few moments' time.
Yeah, there's obviously two become three quite quickly when you're battling, and as DeSwart will be when you're chasing a group of cars and you see them battling, that's exactly what you want. You want them to keep battling, and you can see the time just sort of tumbling, in terms of the distance. But then what happens is you get really close really quickly, and then you end up in that same train, and you just then watching behind you with the cars that could be catching you then. So Martin van der Kraan only 4.9 seconds behind, as we see Vujanovic rubbing the wall there and actually doing really well to actually keep it going in the right direction.
Yeah, that was amazing. As soon as I saw him clip the wall, I thought he was going to lose control there, but managed to keep a hold of it. It was a head down the hill now, and they heading onto this back straight, and that BMW closing right up on again, but just messes up the entry there ever so slightly, but doesn't seem to lose too much time. But it's come down there the straight now, heading down to the chase, and it looks like again Wilczek just pulling away slightly, and it looks like Danny DeSwart starting to close up slightly, but it looks like these three cars seem to be evenly matched in a straight line. Yeah,
it's really tricky. Obviously we've seen the Audi, how quick it is, and that was just bad braking point there, and obviously Danny DeSwart now needs to get moving. As Vujanovic, is he gonna carry on? Yes, he is. He again looks, his car is looking very beat up, isn't it? It looks like he's been rubbing the wall quite a bit. So hopefully DeSwart will allow Vujanovic to retake the position. So we'll see, but at the moment it doesn't look like he's going to, but hopefully he will do. He will slow down on the straight, hopefully.
Indeed, it looks like Vujanovic coming into the pits now, and it looks like it looks like he's got major damage. As just watching that car, it's pretty much beat up by the looks of it, and for some reason he got his wiper on, but I don't think just looking at the weather, I don't think we've got any rain forecast, so maybe just hit his wiper button by accident.
Yeah, that's an angry wiper button, I reckon, that one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and looking at Clayton Barney as well coming through the mountain, and I don't think maybe Clayton might be feeling slightly frustrated, but I think on the other hand, he probably just wants to get to the end of this race now, as they've got about 34 minutes left in this race, and Barney, I think he just wants to try and get to the finish and to just pretty much pick up as many points as he can.
Yeah, well, yeah. Just a correction from what I said earlier. P8 in class is actually 18 points, not 40. I was looking at the overall class position rather than the sorry, the overall class position rather than the finishing position. So P8 in class is 18 points, but still easily enough to see him through if he finishes in P8. But at the moment he's obviously running a little bit higher than that, although he's dropped down a couple of spots. But yeah, still a long way to go. Yannick van Lindhoek's still doing really well up in P3, leading the semi-pro class. Yannick, unfortunately, is not really in the fight for the championship in the semi-pro. So, but obviously, he's had a few bad races in the last few races. So I don't think he finished. Well, he hadn't finished any of them. So obviously, if he can get a P1 in class, that'll be a great result for him, and that will jump him up quite a few places in terms of the overall finishing position in the semi-pros.
Indeed, there's a Van Dijk coming up into the mountain section now, and it looks like it looks like he's been closed down by Matt Tommy as well. So it looks like we may have a battle for the final step of the podium. It looks like Yannick might have just slightly clipped the wall there. They push to try and stay ahead, but they looking at Matt as well. He's definitely pushing as well as he clips the grass ever so slightly. Just looks like neither of these drivers are giving an inch or leaving much on the table. So I think both of these drivers are still going to make the pit stop, of course. So maybe it wouldn't surprise me if either of these drivers maybe decides to pit early. Maybe Tommy, it might be worth him pitting early, maybe trying to do a bit of an undercut.
Yeah, possibly. Obviously, if Yannick's been rubbing the wall, he might need to repair that damage when he gets into the pits. Obviously, in real life, we normally see the pit crew pulling bits of bodywork off if it's causing them performance issues, whereas we can't obviously do that in the sim. It would be great if we could, but the pit team normally want to repair unless you select not to. But Matt Tubby's done pretty well to get back onto terms with Van Lindhoek there, and obviously Yannick's making a couple of little mistakes, nothing too serious, but at the moment. But he wants to iron those out if he wants to keep P3, that's for sure.
Indeed, as they come up to turn 1 now, and they still look at his battle for the positions just inside the top 10, and also second and third in class. It's Van de Kraan versus Danny Swart, and it looks like the Swart's got a bit of a run heading down to the chase, and it's going to be tight as they leave it sort of just enough room. It looks like Danny Swart's to gain that position.
Yeah, it was a good move there, but obviously there might be a penalty incoming for Danny for the move on Virginovic earlier, but we'll see. But it was a good move, and as we see, Yannick and Matt Tubby still going at it. Matt Tubby visibly closer now, and really putting the pressure on Yannick through into the cutting and repark, and Frog Hollow up down into Solomon Park, and as we again running really wide there, Yannick, isn't he? He's really pushing the limits with that Lamborghini, and up onto the curb, which is really good. Actually does settle the car quite nicely, and into Skyline through the S's, keeping really close to the barriers, and not giving an inch, just really letting it feed through, as Matt Tubby just runs a little bit wide, but still managed to carry the speed. And Van Lindhoek really looks like he's struggling a little bit, and Tubby's actually just looked like he might have been a little bit closer to that through Forest Elbow. So let's see what the speed's like on the AMG. But as we've seen already, the Lamborghini is really fast down the straight. Yeah,
just watch both cars, and Tubby's not able to close up in the slipstream. So that Lamborghini's definitely got some power in a straight line, and like Yannick as well, just watching him, he's absolutely wringing the neck out of that car, and I think he's going to dive into the pits, is it? Well, I thought both of them were going to dive into the pits, and it looks like Tubby's trying to make a move into the final quarter, but Yannick's definitely not leaving him much room, and definitely watching both these cars as well over the mountain section, they're definitely wringing the neck out of it. There's also as Tubby just about runs into the back of Van Lindhoek as well, but manages to get away with it.
Yeah, it looked like he just used his normal braking point there, and obviously you get a concertina effect, and if you're too close you end up just literally running into the back, as he's pulling to the outside here to go into Griffin's Bend. But again, he just needs to squeeze Yannick a little bit more. I don't think he's actually going to be able to go around the outside, and he's definitely not going to get the cut back there, because Yannick just continues to take the race in line. So as we saw earlier, that's not the easiest way of actually getting the move done.
Yeah, absolutely not. And Yannick just pulling away again over the mountain section, and it's a good point that Sam brought up in the chat as well, that maybe Yannick and maybe struggling with tyres, and saying that the Lamborghini seems to struggle with tyre wear as well, possibly sometimes. So, but still, Yannick doing a good job of holding on to the third place overall, and if he is on the tyres that are pretty much gone by the sell-by date, he's definitely doing a good job of keeping it on track.
Yeah, Tubby just run a little bit wide there into the, I think it was into the dipper. So he needs to be a bit careful there, because he's missed the wall a couple of times. But that will be the next time he'll hit it pretty hard if he's not careful. Maybe just suffering with a little bit of understeer through as he's getting through the race here, as his tyres getting a little bit older.
That's quite possible. As Jean Planis is into the pits from 13th place, and yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if he's been into the pits already. I'm sure I've seen him in the pits already, unless I'm thinking of his teammate. He's into the pits again. I think been told that he might have damage. So yeah, it looks like it's a pit stop to try and fix some of that damage. But this battle for third place still going on between Van Dijk and Tubby coming across the line, and it looks like Yannick's just pulled away slightly, but that Mercedes over the mountain section, as I've seen already in the race so far, it is really stable, and it seems to close right up across that mountain section.
Yeah, for sure there, and as we see, Clyde Barney there is just behind, obviously a lap down now as well, with all of his excursions into the wall and various other areas within the track. But obviously, clearly, he's had his pit stop as well. As we see, Nathan Pearce has obviously finished, had his pit stop as well, so he's now running. They're now running P1 in terms of all those that have stopped, with Niall Cox 5 seconds behind. We see James Mead though 17.6 seconds ahead of Hackler in P2, so he's really just kept his head down really, and just done everything he needs to, not pushed too hard, not done anything unusual. Just the car looks really stable as we're on board with him here, and he's literally no mistakes so far. But hopefully the commentator's curse doesn't come to bite there, but it looks like he's done really well so far.
Yeah, absolutely. James Mead, definitely. He's just been by himself and not really had anyone to challenge him. But still, he's been keeping a cool head and just keeping on track and not doing anything silly or trying to not being too aggressive with the car, but still going around. And I think he'll probably leave his pit stop until late as possible. But not really. He's got a big enough gap and coming across the line now, and probably be one of the drivers that's impressed me a lot this season. But further back, we've got Jonas Hackler as well in the second place, another driver that's been there and thereabouts this season, getting good results. And I think I'm not sure what race it was, but he ended up having bad luck and just didn't go his way, but still going around in second place, and again not really having anyone around him that's challenged him, and just been pretty much going around doing laps, keeping a cool head. But behind him, but it looks like that battle for third place is still going on as well. So that battle, I think, for third place may be set within the pit stop.
Yeah, it could be. Obviously, Van Dijk's still keeping Tubby at bay, and we got the was that Danny de Swart they've just come up to in the back as a back mark, I think. Luckily Van Dijk's going to have a little bit of a breather there whilst de Swart gets out of the way, but he's really quickly back on him in there, really, isn't he? So I think wonder how, when we're going to see these guys pitting. If I'm racing in these sort of races, I'll be trying to run as long as possible, because like I said earlier, if you get stuck pitting too early, you can actually ruin your race getting stuck behind slower people. So as we see a lot of the faster guys, the aliens, they really just sort of run almost to the last lap where if they can, and then pit on the last lap. So they know they can maintain their pace throughout the stint with a full tank of fuel. So it's normally pretty good. As we see, just see how close they get to the walls there, Ryan. It's amazing, isn't it, the car control that these guys have.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime they get close to the wall, I always get a bit scared just watching, because you don't know if they get close to the wall if they'll end up clipping it, and or maybe lose control if they clip it. But still, both of these drivers have been pretty much been on it every lap, and especially Tubby as well. He's been absolutely wringing the neck of that Mercedes and doing a good job of keeping with Valenduc, and Valenduc is otherwise likewise doing a good job of that Lamborghini, keeping it in third place. But I think maybe struggling with tyre wear, and when they dive into the pits, nope, both of them decide to stay out. So I think it's going to be a case of try to pretty much just go as long as possible. But if I don't know, if I'm Tubby, I would probably want to try and basically, I would probably dive into the pits right now, and maybe at the 20-minute remaining mark, and maybe try and jump Valenduc in the pit stop, because at the moment it looks like Yannick is maybe holding Matt up slightly.
Yeah, just having a look, and the quickest time really to get in and out of the pits is probably around a minute. So obviously Tubby wants to make sure that when he comes out of the pits he's not going to get stuck behind people. But I'm just looking at the gaps at the moment, and if he stopped for a minute he would actually come out behind Martin van der Kraan, who hasn't stopped at the moment, and just in front of Nathan Pearce. So Nathan Pearce actually is getting really close to almost that point where he might actually be able to jump somebody. And if he gets up into P4 after the pit stop phase, having started from the pits, that'll be an awesome run.
Yeah, absolutely. As again, the Tubby closes up, and Valenduc heading up to Skyline, and again the strength of that Mercedes seems to be across this mountain section. It just seems to be, just looking at the car, it just seems to be really planted to the track, and that. But as I say that, Valenduc pulls away slightly, heading down to the back straight, and just pulls away slightly. But I think it's just it seems to be one of those swings and roundabouts situations that the Lambo in a straight line is quick, but over the mountain it seems to be that the Mercedes seems to have more stability, and seems to be just a little bit more comfortable, or more planted even.
Yeah, I think the front engine cars do tend to be a bit more stable generally. Especially with the twisty stuff, but it's I've driven the Audi around here quite a few times, and it's actually a really fun car to drive around here. But yeah, as you know, it can be quite lively if it's not balanced well enough, especially through the phase. As we see, Matt Tubby does take your advice, Ryan, and comes into the pits.
Yeah, I had a feeling that he was going to dive into the pits at some point, maybe with 20 minutes remaining, but probably just decided now he's been held up too much, and I think it'll just be fuel only for Tubby by the looks of it. But looking at Nard Cox as well, they pretty much all by himself at the moment, just outside the top 10. And a good point that Sam brought up as well in the chat, that the Bentley around here seems to be, I think he said it was about one second slower around here. So that's it's around the track such as Bathurst, that's quite cool. Maybe not a big loss, but not really something that you want around Bathurst, as it looks like Tubby's leaving the pits now, and it looks like it was just a fuel-only stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to do it. And but I'm sure Dara McCormack would probably suggest otherwise in terms of the Bentley around here. I'm pretty sure he's got some of the quickest times around here. But that's I'm probably sure he can get in any car and probably do the same thing. But for us mere mortals, the Bentley is actually a lot more difficult to drive nowadays. It actually, for a front engine car, it's actually quite light on the rear end, I find, especially from what it was when the sim was quite new. It was quite difficult to get the rear end round. So it's obviously a lot. It's had a benefit from. As we see Matt Tubby hitting the wall there, he really doesn't want to do that. And we're just seeing the timing screens updating. I think we'll see actually Matt Tubby still come out ahead of Danny DeSwart, Wilczek, and Van der Kraan and Nathan Pearce. So clearly that 1 second stop was fairly quick in terms of overall time stopped. And just having a look, so 45 seconds stopped. So obviously that means what shows us why he's around, well, actually about 20 seconds ahead of Nathan Pearce.
Absolutely. As looking at Tubby as well, and actually looks like Valenduc is into the pits as well, and I think maybe trying to cover off Tubby as well. And I think as soon as he saw Tubby dive into the pits, I think he pretty much realised that he's got to try and he's pretty much got to pit now to try and cover him off.
Yeah, for sure. There's no second guess unless he definitely has not got enough fuel. If he's not going to take tyres, sometimes if you pit, it actually resets your tyre pressures, so it might actually help his stint. But if obviously he doesn't want to lose too much temperature, but obviously Tubby will get in that issue as well, as we see Simon Wilkes also in the pits. And Valenduc in and out again. Actually, it was time slot 10 seconds, but time in the pit 38 seconds. So actually, he's had a much quicker stop. As you can see there, actually Tubby's all the way back, coming around the first corner, and Valenduc is almost halfway up the main straight.
Absolutely. So I wonder if Yannick maybe decided to start with pretty much a full tank, and then basically when it came to the pit stop, only had to take maybe a litre or maybe 2 litres, and that's it, just to maybe try and minimise the time loss.
Yeah, they were stopped for seven seconds difference, so that was pretty much the difference there. So Tubby was stopped for 17 seconds, whereas Valenduc 10 seconds. So clearly, what can happen as well for those uninitiated, if you can actually miss your pit box, and if you're within a certain position, then your pit crew won't pick you up, or if you get close enough, they will pick you up, move you, put you back down again, then pick you back up again. So you can lose 6-7 seconds by not hitting your mark. So that could have happened also. So just to pick up in terms of what I mentioned earlier, pre 1.8, the Bentley was a bit of a different kettle of fish for sure. So that's definitely what's going on in terms of Honda and McLaren obviously have battled around these tracks as well for quite a bit, in terms of the cars that people like. The McLaren's has been a favourite of the aliens for quite a while, as is the Ferrari, and George Boothby always seems to be in the Ferrari. Whereas obviously the Audi LMS2 LMS Evo 2 has been identified as obviously being a beast down the straights as well. So I don't think anything can come close to it really on the straights like Paul Ricard if it's set up properly. Yeah,
absolutely. I think I'll probably say cars that suit tracks like Paul Ricard's probably the Aston Martin as well, just because it's Paul Ricard has got so many high-speed corners, and the Aston Martin, from my experience of racing it, seems to be really stable, and maybe not the quickest car, but it seems to suit high-speed tracks. The only thing that lets the Aston Martin down is in slow-speed corners is when you try and put the power down, you've got that turbo lag, which is as an Aston Martin fan that loves the car in ACC, it's a pain in the butt.
Yes, it is horrendous from first gear, and it's also got a very long first gear, which helps it even less. I can't understand what Aston Martin were thinking when they did that.
Is looking at Sandervale as well right now, coming across McPhillany Park, and being a bit of a quiet race for Sander, is we've not really seen much of him. To be honest, looking at his car, it looks like he's not really been caught up in any incidents from what I can see. That car looks pretty spotless.
Yeah, difficult one for Sander. He can do really well in some races, and in others he's not. He's off the pace. Maybe just not getting on the track or on with the track, or maybe not had the opportunity to practice well enough. But as we can see, now we got Matt Tubby was, I think, on the last timing split was about 10 seconds behind. There we go, 10.2 seconds behind Valenduc. So it's clearly that's not gone too well for him in the pit phase there, and I don't actually think he's made up any time in the last lap either. So just gonna have a quick look at the last laps. It's still on the 203.7 to Valenduc and a 204.2 for Matt Tubby. So he's obviously not quite up to the speed he was earlier. So maybe he's resigned to the fact that in 14 minutes he's not going to get that 10 seconds back.
Yeah, I can't see that happening either, unless Yannick has a big issue and makes a mistake. But still, it's been a good effort from Matt as well. Having a good race, but further back, we're looking at the Martin van der Kraan, and it looks like he's going to be I was going to say I thought he was under pressure from Nathan Pearce, but Nathan Pearce is a little bit further back, but still Martin doing well inside the top 10 overall, and also running third in class. So if he finishes there, I think that's what I was going to say. If he finishes there, it'll be a good run. But obviously Martin still needs to make his pit stop, so he may end up losing maybe a couple of positions. It looks like Martin might get held up by a back marker there, but manages to get by before the mountain section.
Yeah, it's not a place you want a back marker to slow down, because that is what you're going to do. You're going to turn in, or you just end up second guessing the back marker. Then it's fair play to him. He did let him pass, but it's not the place you really want somebody to slow him down like that.
As Van der Krank comes across McFarlane Park, and just in front of him is trying to close down Vincent Volchek, who's also still needs to make his pit stop. So this battle between Volchek and Van der Krank could be sorted in the pit stop, but still as the Finnish driver Jonas Hakola dives into the pits now for his pit stop. So diving into the pits from second place, and they maybe pretty much decide that now is the time to make his pit stop. So maybe he realised that he's not going to close that gap down to James Mead, and James Mead's got I wouldn't say a commendable lead, but he's got a good margin anyway. So I think when he makes his pit stop, he should come back out still in the lead.
Yeah, you just saw from the side view there that Jonas has definitely been rubbing the wall a bit, I suspect, on the right hand side of his Ferrari there. So that's probably why James has managed to maintain a gap there of well over 10 seconds. So as we see Vincent will check into the pits as well from P7, currently P8, after I think Van der Krank's just gone past him whilst he's in the pit lane. So let's see how long he's going to be stopped for. I suspect again, he's going to be up on the Jackson, pretty much down again, pretty much straight away. So we can see he's still got the brakes on. There we go, straight back off the Jackson, on his way.
Yep, so just a fuel only stop for Volchek as well, and I think most drivers will be doing a fuel only stop as well, as Vincent's coming out of the pits now. And talking of making a pit stop, James Mead is into the pits from the lead, and I think just looking at the gap, he'll still come back out as a leader. And the Alpha Simsport driver coming into the pits and been having a great race so far. And I don't want to curse him or anything, but yeah, I think if he takes a win, he'll be another new winner for this season. So obviously with Clayton Barney having issues, but still this battle between Nathan Pearce and it looks like Nard Cox as well, going on as well. That Bentley, even though it might not be the quickest car around this track, it's still doing a good job up there inside the top 10 as James Mead comes out from the pits, still in the lead, and Andrew Ritchson, the GT4 championship, the GT4 champion I should say, comes into the pits and from second place. So more and more drivers making their pit stop as we come to the closing stages of this race, but still looked like Pearce might have just clipped the wall there.
Yeah, Nathan's definitely jumped Nard Cox through the pit stop stage there, but Nard seems to be certainly having the speed now, and again, as you mentioned, it looked like he might just clip the wall there, but it doesn't look like he's making any headway on the Lamborghini, which probably is because the top speed there, as we see also Danny DeSwart coming into the pits. Just having a look at James Mead, and he is out on track again, so maintaining his position with Hackler now 23.8 seconds behind. So let's hope the pit stop's not sort of broken James's rhythm, and he's only got less than 10 minutes before the end of the race, really. Indeed,
as DeSwart comes out of the pits now, and it looks like Pearce and Nard Cox as well come around turn 1, and on the exit of turn 1 it looks like someone clipped the grass there slightly in front of them, but he still looks like Nard's doing a good job of trying to keep up with Nathan Pearce, and that Lambo again, quick in a straight line. But I think over the mountain section, this Bentley might just close up over the mountain section.
Yeah, it's difficult, as obviously you can break your normal breaking point and actually close in, but out of the corners, if if Nathan isn't struggling with tyres, as some of the guys in the YouTube chat have suggested, then he's probably got it covered. But yeah, Nard's really putting the pressure on, and actually it's so difficult to follow that close through this section, and you really need to be this close through this section so you get a good run down the Conrod Straight.
Absolutely, as Nard closes up right over Skyline as well, and definitely this Bentley seems to suit the section of the track, but that Lambo, I think as soon as you get onto the straight, I think it'll just pull away slightly again. But you never know. I think if Nard can get a good exit here and try and get on the power early, carry that momentum, he might be able to get a run down the straight and head down to the chase. It looks like they're both evenly matched in a straight line, and again, Nard, I think Nard might be getting a bit frustrated because I have a feeling that he knows he can get by Nathan, but it's just a case of where can he get the move done.
Yeah, he's got to be really close to that Lamborghini because of its straight line speed. Yeah, you can see it's just pulled out a little bit of a gap, even though he was quite close. You'd expect there would have been a closing due to the slipstream, even a little bit. But in reality, it held station, and it's going to be tricky. Nard's got to be really close into the Forest Elbow P8, P17, P18, so you can get onto the Conrod Straight. So it's really got to be close, and I would actually probably just be a bit more relaxed through this section of the track, and obviously still put pressure on, but don't be too racy, because it obviously can be then quite difficult to get that sort of gap back through the top of the hill.
Yeah, but absolutely, as the back marker gets out of the way there, and again, that Lambo in a straight line just stretching its legs slightly, but Nard again just I think this is where he'll close off, and I think this is part of the track where it seems to suit Nard a lot. But we've got about 7 minutes and 5 seconds into left in this race still. Clayton Barney, it's been a race of pretty much up and down for him. He's went around a couple of times over Skyline, but still up there in 13th place, and under attack from Majorovic as well. But I think Clayton Barney's not really worried now. It's just a case of getting to the finish. But again, riding on board with Nard, closing right up over this section of the track here, and it seems to suit this Bentley really well.
Yeah, it's actually a pleasure to drive the Bentley round the top of the hill. It feels so nice. It's a bit weird driving around the right with it being right-hand drive as well, but it just makes it a different challenge. And actually, because obviously the sections that you want to be really close to are actually on the right-hand side of the car, so you're obviously turning right. It's actually works quite well with the Bentley being right-hand drive. But again, you can see he's still only making minor gains on the Lamborghini ahead, but into the braking zone, Nard's clearly got a lot more confidence on those brakes in terms of the tyres as well, so but still not close enough really.
Indeed, excuse me, Nard's closing up again under braking into the final quarter, but again I think this battle is going to go down to the last lap, and it's one of those things that I think Nard gets close enough, he might want to try and make a move, but you don't. That's the thing as well, you want to try and make a move, but you don't want to do anything silly. The only place I can really think of that Nard could make a move is maybe through the chase. Like we've seen a few at times during this race that people have made several moves through the chase and they've managed to pull it off. But even though it's been a bit sketchy at times, but again, both the drivers evenly matched, and the cars seem to be evenly matched in a straight line. So I think it's going to be a case of if Nathan Pierce makes a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and a shout out to Yannick Vanendek as well. Now only 2.8 seconds behind P2. So and catching P2 about a tenth a lap. So probably not going to be able to close that gap up. But stranger things have happened, Ryan.
Absolutely, especially around Bathurst, anything can happen, and if you lose your concentration, or if they just lose your focus for even a second, it can bite you around Bathurst, and you never know, the Hackle could end up making a mistake. But still, we continue to look at this battle between Nard Cox and Nathan Pierce, because Nard just messes up his exit there, so that will cost them a little bit of time, and they lose a bit of touch with Nathan Pierce. And as you see there on the straight, Pierce just manages to stretch that gap a little bit.
Yeah, I think he just nudged the wall on coming into the Forest Elbow there just on turn 17, which put him offline, which really does affect you. You obviously getting out of the corner onto the Connor straight, as we now are on board with Yannick Vanenduk in his last lap, 2:02.9, and only 0.1 second of a second slower than his best lap. So clearly he's definitely got the bit between his teeth. But Hackler's now just actually pulled a 10th out on him on the last lap. So. They're blow for blow, but I think Yannick clearly, obviously, he's got some good pace there still, but and is way ahead of Danny Deswart in P2 for the class podium places. So Yannick's had a great race.
Yeah, it's been a great race from Yannick, and I think this is possibly his best race of the season, I believe, for an overall for us. And also, I can't remember if he's took a win in the in Class A this season, but I think if he hasn't, I think this will be his first win in Class 1 of the season. But back to this battle for P7 and P6 and P7, sorry, between Pearce and Cox. Cox again closing, is definitely right on the rear of Nathan Pearce this time around, and Nathan Pearce will definitely be feeling that pressure as Cox again gets real close to that wall. They play pretty much just about rubbing it a little bit, but again, both these drivers not given an ounce and pretty much laying it all on the line.
Yeah, exactly, and shout out to Nathan Pearce. He's gained 17 positions so far in the race, so he's clearly, obviously, the by far the biggest gainer of all of the drivers, which clearly didn't help that he started in the pit, but he's obviously had the speed to get back up, and Nard's really putting the pressure on him, and if the YouTube chat is anything to go by, then the Lambo could be getting really sketchy with its tyres.
Absolutely, as they heading up to the chase, heading through the chase, again, Nard just not close to make a move and running out of time, because I think we've only got this pretty much 2 more laps to go, I think. It's running out of time to make a move. So, and also credit to Nathan Pearce as well. He's managing to handle the pressure well, and he's not let the pressure get to him.
I'm sure he's definitely doing well, and obviously with Nard is again just really putting the pressure on, and actually getting pretty close to go up the hill onto Mountain Straight. So I don't think they look at the Lamborghini. He's not actually gaining anything up that hill, and in almost all other cars, you were that close, you would be alongside by now.
Yeah, I think it's maybe just a case of the Lambo be pretty much being strong at this part of the track in a straight line. It seems to be a really strong car, but the Bentley as well. Coming up to this section here, it seems to be real strong. Seems to be able to close up really easy, but it's just as Nard just messes up his exit there, and the entry and exit there, and that compromises him, and he loses a little bit of touch over the mountain section here. So I think Nard might have just blew his chance here to try and close up and make a move, but still got pretty much another lap to go. So Nard Cox is in the wall. Oh, he was. I thought he was in the wall. Oh, how on earth the Nard Cox kicked out of the wall? I'll never know.
Looked like he was going back. Well, it looked like he was going backwards into the wall there, didn't it? I don't know if he did clip the wall and it's put him back straight, but that was close.
Yeah, that was. I'm not even racing, and I'm not even racing. I had to hold my breath when I saw that there, because I thought Nard Cox was going into the wall there, but that was amazing car control for him to keep it out.
Yeah, it was excellent. Yeah, but just having a look on looking out for any damage, and it doesn't look like he's got any damage on the front of the car. On the rear as well, not so much either, as we see Clyde Bainey and Crawford now are sort of going toe to toe.
Yep, looking at Clyde Bainey and Crawford as well, and it looks like Bainey may have the run now, and that Honda on a straight line as well is definitely a quick car, and it looks like Bainey may have the run. He's going to go to the outside heading up to the chase. So this will be a very risky move, but fair play to Crawford. He's leaving just enough room, and can Barney get the move done? Yes, he can, and I think Crawford realised there's no point making too much of a big deal out of it, and Barney up into 12th place. I saw it'll be 11th place soon, because I think it looks like something's happened to Adam Sailovic, and it looks like Simon Wuggs as well. So maybe a little bit of contact.
Maybe, as we see, actually, just there's the leader just coming around to finish the race.
Yep, as James Mead comes around to finish the race, and they take a command and win in this race in the final round of the SSRi, the GT3 series here at Bathurst this evening. So a well-deserved victory for James. So well done to him. And Finland's Jonas Hakolas, it looks like he's going to finish second, but looking at the background, Yannick Valaduk's managed to close that gap down massively. So, but it's not going to be enough, because the Hakolas going to come round and finish in second place, and they take that second place step on the podium, with Yannick Valaduk taking the class 1 and also the overall podium finish here in third. So yeah, great drive from him, and it looks like just waiting for the rest of the cars to come round as well. But I have to say, Dave, that was a pretty entertaining race. There was plenty of battles going on throughout the field as Tubby comes across the line to finish in 4th place, with Andrew Richardson in the 5th, and looks like we've got this battle going on as well for 6th and 7th between going on as well, and Nathan Pierce coming round as well. He'll finish in 6th, and Nard Cox, I think he'll be kicking himself for that mistake, because I think he probably felt he could have made that move and take the position, but still, that was a great race nevertheless throughout the field, and a great race to round out the final round of the season.
Yeah, it's excellent. Mount Panorama, Belfast never ceases to disappoint, doesn't it? So it's always a great race, and just to see the guys just having a bit of fun at the end of the season, and I'm sure they wouldn't be doing that if they were paying for the damage themselves.
Absolutely, and as everyone's just finishing up, they're waiting for the remaining drivers to come across the line. But I have to say, Dave, it's been a pleasure calling the series this season, and there's been great racing throughout the field in every race. And what's your takeaway from the season? What's your views on it?
Oh no, it's been great, and obviously it's unfortunate that Sam had some internet issues tonight, because it could have been even closer, with obviously Clyde managing to get into P10, I think it was. So he's managed to secure the championship by the looks of things in terms of the overall position. So congratulations to him. But yeah, it's always awesome. If anyone who's watching who doesn't race with us, then please do take the opportunity and join the GT3 racing. It's really great. We've got 2 tiers, if you weren't aware. So we do have some of the slower drivers and some of the rookies in the tier 2 races, and they have just as much fun as the tier 1s do. So do make sure you join. I think there is also due to come up a bit of winter fun as well in the near future as well. So there is a simracing.gp event places on at the moment. As you can see, the Jeremy Clarkson Invitational, which might not necessarily be the best name for a race at the moment, with all of his shenanigans that have been going on recently, but we've got the Bathurst with the Porsche Cup as well on the 27th of December. That's going to be an interesting race to watch, with a car that has no traction control, and we've got the BMW M2s around Zolder. They are a lot of fun, those cars, and can run really closely, and obviously everyone in the same car as well, so that'll be a lot of fun. And on the 3rd of January, the SSRi Cup Madness, so that's going to be around Misano. So please do take the opportunity to join us, have a bit of fun. It's going to be a little bit of a championship running in terms of those events, and we also have a bit of a mixed one in terms of GT3s, GT4s at Brands Hatch, and then we return back to the 2.4-hour Winter Cup races on January 13th in Indianapolis, the wonderful Indianapolis, and also then on to Monza and Bathurst. So but do watch this space for the announcements of the new GT4s and GT3 season that will be coming soon, and it'll be great to see everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just waiting to have a look to see if there's anyone in the interview rooms, and I think I think we'll bring in James Mead, who won the race this evening, and took a well-deserved victory. And just as James is joining us now, and James Mead taking the win this evening here. I have to say, first off, James, congratulations on the win.
Thank you. Good evening, guys. Yeah, that was probably harder than it looked. But no, I'm happy to get the win. But I got COVID the other day, so that was very difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're pretty much under pressure from Clay Barney and Luca Felipe as well. And when you were under pressure from them, did you have anything going on in your mind? They said to yourself, trying to defend the position as much as possible, or what was your plan if they got a run on you?
To be honest, I was watching them and it was putting me under a lot of pressure, but I was just trying to focus on bringing the tyres in slowly, because the Honda can really overcook its rear tyres if you slide it too much in the first few laps. And I was just trying to keep it somewhat safe, so not racking up the damage. I failed at that because I gave myself about 11 seconds of damage in those few laps when they were on me. And then I was just thinking, I know they're not going to do anything absolutely stupid, so until it becomes really close, I'm not going to defend. Hopefully those two will trip each other up, which kind of happened, but they also got some bad luck, so I feel sorry that their race happened how it did. It would have been a difficult, even worse race to try and win, but more fun, I suppose, if they'd have been up there and not crashed and been with me.
And just looking at the season in general, looking back at it, do you think it's went as well as expected, or do you feel you could have done better in some races, or is it just pretty much did you just use the approach of just basically take it race by race and whatever happens?
It's a mixed bag from my results. I don't feel like I did what all my practices. I was normally going quicker than I did in quali, so a bit disappointed with my quali performance. And then I've kind of had like a 50-50 with results. It's either been I've finished in probably like 4th, 5th or 6th, or I got crashed in the first lap and then was pretty much last. So yeah, I can definitely improve for next season and hopefully just eliminate those crashes.
And talking about next season as well, are you planning to make a return?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be back. My first actual win in SSRi sprint, so hopefully it can set me up to challenge a little bit more for the championship.
Then last question before we let you go, James, anyone that you want to give a shout out to or any thank yous to?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Alpha Simsport and SSRi yourselves. I drive with a lot of the guys. It's a great community and I get a lot of help from both those parts, so yeah, big thanks to them.
Good stuff. Well, again, congratulations on the win, James, and looking forward to seeing you on track next season.
Thank you very much.
As that was James Mead, the winner of tonight's race, and I believe up next we've got the finish driver, that is Jonas Hakala.
Hello.
Yeah, that was a good race for yourself tonight, Jonas. You finished in second place. Are you frustrated that you couldn't be closer to the front challenging for the win, or was it just do you think was it just a case of trying to finish the race tonight with no issues?
Well, I didn't get away without issues, but yeah, the qualifying at first I was very happy with. The Hondas were very fast around here as expected, so that I was at least able to take P4. I mean, the first non-Honda car in the queue there, so I was pretty happy with that. Race pace wise, I felt very good with the car. Unfortunately, when Barney crashed out in what was it? I think was it lap 4 or 5? I'm not sure, but pretty early on in the race he crashed in the downhill section, and yeah, when I came over the crest myself, I only then noticed him, and I couldn't brake anymore, and there was no gaps on either side, so I just had to go for the better of two bad choices really, and go for the bigger gap. But I still had to crash into him and gain myself 15 seconds of damage, and quite some bit of understeer to deal with. So considering that happened, I'm pretty happy that I was able to keep the position I had. Yannick was very quickly closing in, especially at the end there.
Excuse me. Yeah, we saw that as well. What were you thinking when you saw that Yannick was starting to close the gap down to you towards the end of the race? Was it just a case of the Lambo being the better car? Was it just like you mentioned? Was it just a case of you struggling with that damage and just trying to get to the finish?
I mean, I was definitely, compared to what I had practiced, I was 7/10 a lap about slower than I should have been, and that this was mainly because of the fast corners in sector 2. I couldn't push full throttle through them really. I just had to lift all the time, and I just kept losing time there. I was just looking at the lap times every lap, just seeing if I can get away with what I have, if I can stretch it to the end. Especially the last few laps when the tires started to die on me on the front as well, having to deal with so much strain throughout the race. I just became so slow, and I don't think I could have gone for a lap longer and kept that P2.
And looking ahead to next season, are you planning on making a return?
I definitely am, and probably in the same car, unless we get a new Ferrari shortly. But I think if I am able to keep my attendance on every week, then I should be able to do better in next year's championship.
And before we let you go, you want to say anyone that you want to give any shout outs to?
Well, I want to give a shout out to R&E, Raggy and Bika, or Ben and Robin. They keep driving with us and working on stuff, and it's good fun, and we're learning and we're pushing forward, and Ben wasn't unfortunately able to race tonight either because he was feeling ill. But and also to you guys for putting the show together and keeping these broadcasts and everything. Absolute lads. Thank you.
And it's our pleasure, and again, congratulations on the result tonight, Jonas, and we look forward to seeing you back on track with that Ferrari next season.
Thank you.
And I believe up next we've got the class winner tonight, and also the third place overall finisher with us tonight, Yannick Villenduc, and joining us. And first off, Yannick, I have to say congratulations on the podium finish and the class win, and that battle between you and I can't remember who it was. You were battling that battle in the closing stages was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thanks guys. That was a cool race. I think I was battling with Jonas, who we just spoke to. So yeah, that was really fun. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good to see. I think you were battling someone else before the pit stop. I think was that the?
It was Mr. Tubby. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Tubby. Yeah, my apologies. I completely forgot who it was. That was a fantastic race between you and Matt, and before the pit stop, and it looked like you guys were maybe. Again, it was a great battle, and also you guys seemed to be evenly matched in a straight line. The Lambo seemed to be good in a straight line, but that Mercedes over the mountain just seemed to be a little bit more planted, we were saying.
Yeah, I think so. At first I was pulling away from him a bit, and then at a later stage I had a bit of damage with some kisses to the wall, which happens, of course, every time. And then he started to suddenly close the gap quite quickly, so I think he must have found his rhythm really on the mountain. It was really catching me. And then, but like you say, I was maybe a bit quicker on the straights overall, and I could keep him behind. And I think he must have accidentally repaired damage or something in the pits, because he was gone after that, unfortunately. But yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah.
And looking ahead to next season as well, I've asked the same question to James and Jonas as well. But are you planning to make a return, and are you planning to return with the Lambo?
I'd really want to, but since the start of this season, the Tuesday has fallen quite impossible for me to take part in races. So this is only my 4th race, I think, this season. So I'm gonna have to see. I don't think taking a spot in Tier 1 is fair anymore. So maybe I just take the casual race if I can. I do love the Lambo, but I think I want to switch cars every time I do a season. So if I'm joining, it will definitely be something else. Not sure yet what it will be.
Good stuff. And reflecting on your season, like you say, you've not really made as many races, but from the races you have done this season, how do you think the seasons went for you? Do you think it could have gone better, or has it went as well as you expected?
Could have been a lot better, to be honest. I think I crashed in all 3 the previous races I took part in quite badly. I think I was in the top 10 at Spa and then crashed, so finished somewhere near the back of the field. And same for Watkins, Glen and Indianapolis, I think, as well. So yeah, it could have been a lot better, but yeah, I mean, it's for fun anyway. I had fun, so.
Good stuff. And before we let you go, Yannick, any thank yous you want to give out? Anyone that you want to mention?
I think a shout out to the admins, to you guys, the commentators, and the stewards as well. We will do a good job, and I think we're a great community. So thanks for that in general. Thanks, guys.
Great stuff. And again, congratulations to you on your podium finish in Class 1, Yannick, and hopefully we'll see you next season.
Thanks, man. See you guys.
As that was Yannick Van Dijk joining us, and yeah, that was a great race, a great way to round out the season, Dave. And final thoughts before we wrap up. So it sounds like Dave might be having issues or doing something at the moment, but yeah, thanks to anyone that's tuned in this season for the broadcast and the YouTube chat. Also, thanks to the drivers that have raced this series this season, but in both tiers, in Tier 1 and Tier 2. And thanks to the people that make it a great community to be part of. It's been a pleasure calling the races and as well. And also, big shout out to the director behind the scenes that makes it happen, Tom Van der Meer. And that's pretty much it for now. But thanks to everyone that's tuned in this season, and looking forward to the new season already. But for now, from me, from Dave, and from Tom, take care and good night.